I used to believe talent and hard work spoke for themselves. It turns out, in the world of high fashion, they just make you a target. My name's Arya, and for 4 years, I worked as the lead designer at Luxaline, one of the most prestigious fashion houses in the city. I poured my creativity, my nights, my soul into every collection. My work was my life, and the designs were a part of me. Every stitch, every cut, every fabric choice held a piece of my passion. I lived and breathed fashion, believing that dedication was the ultimate key to success. Then Cameron arrived, charming, smooth, and with a reputation that could sell anything, including lies. He walked in like he owned the place, a perfectly tailored suit and a smile that could disarm anyone. I remember our first meeting. He shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and told me he was excited to collaborate. Little did I know, his definition of collaboration was very different from mine. Cameron had a way of stepping into the spotlight and taking credit for my designs. It started small. He'd stroll through fashion shows, presenting my sketches as his own charming investors with my concepts. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence, a misunderstanding. Maybe he was just enthusiastic. Then I realized it wasn't, it was his strategy. He was a master of manipulation, weaving narratives where he was the visionary genius. He'd take my mood boards, my color palettes, my intricate design notes, and represent them in meetings as if they were his own spontaneous bursts of inspiration. People bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Classic industry predator move, right? He knew how to play the game, how to network, and how to make people believe he was the next big thing. And when award season came around, guess who received the Best New Designer trophy? Not the one who stayed up nights perfecting the couture line. Not the one who saved the brand from a disastrous launch with a last-minute collection. No, it was Cameron, praised for my brilliance, my late nights, my sacrifices. I watched him on that stage, holding the award that should have had my name on it, thanking the Academy for recognizing his unique vision. I smiled, I applauded, I even shook his hand and congratulated him afterward. But inside, as I looked at that polished trophy reflecting his smug face, a plan was already forming. My heart wasn't just broken, it was ignited. I became Cameron's shadow. My obsession shifted from designing clothes to designing his downfall. I observed him, I documented everything. Every corner he cut, every underhanded email he sent, every client deal he closed that was built on my work. He was sloppy, arrogant. He thought he was untouchable. And that was his biggest mistake. I discovered he had been secretly selling exclusive Luxaline sketches, my sketches, to a rival brand. He was double-dipping, betraying the company that was showering him with praise and profiting from my creativity on the side. Every sleepless night had spent working on those collections. Now, I spent them compiling proof. Screenshots, contracts, hidden invoices, emails, everything lined up like a perfectly curated runway show. I meticulously organized every piece of evidence, cross-referencing dates, times, and conversations. I created a digital fortress of his deceit. I named the folder Cameron's Final Collection. Zip. It was a work of art in its own right, a testament to his greed and my patience. And then, with my masterpiece complete, I waited. I waited for the perfect runway, the biggest stage, the moment when his fall would be the most spectacular. The industry adored Cameron. He had the charisma, the right connections, and the manufactured narrative of a prodigy. Going straight to the board with my evidence? Pointless. They were blinded by his charm and the profits he was supposedly bringing in. They would have dismissed me as a jealous subordinate. So, I decided to let the real power players see the truth. The clients and the investors. The final showcase of the season was approaching, the biggest event on the fashion calendar. It was Cameron's big night, the culmination of his work. As the lights dimmed and the first model stepped onto the runway, I made my move. I sent an anonymous email to a carefully selected list of top fashion investors, industry insiders, and influential journalists. The attachment was a curated preview from Cameron's final collection. Zip, irrefutable proof of his plagiarism, his secret deals, and his side hustle selling Luxaline's intellectual property. There was no signature, just a simple, devastating subject line. A closer look at who's really designing Luxaline. Chaos erupted almost immediately. Phones started lighting up in the front row. Whispers turned into urgent, hushed conversations. Investors were pulling out of deals before the show was even over. Rival brands implicated in the leak paused their collaborations. The board was bombarded with questions they couldn't answer. And Cameron? For the first time, I saw panic written all over his flawless, carefully constructed face. His grand finale was turning into a public execution. Meanwhile, as the fallout from my email consumed Luxaline, I was quietly making my next move. I presented my next collection, my designs, my vision, and my story to a rival fashion house. They saw the raw talent, the innovation, and the dedication that had been hidden behind Cameron's shadow for so long. They were impressed, and they didn't just offer me a job. They offered me a full creative director position, complete control. Back at Luxaline, the board had no choice but to launch a full-scale investigation. Cameron's schemes were revealed in their entirety. The man who thought charisma and lies could carry him to the top was exposed and humiliated. He was escorted out of the building in front of everyone, his designer briefcase in hand, his reputation in tatters. The murmurs of the staff followed him out the door, a final, fitting soundtrack to his demise. And every design he had ever tried to claim, they were now officially and publicly credited to me. The archives were corrected, press releases were issued, and the truth was finally set in stone. My name was finally where it belonged. A few months later, I walked past the old Luxaline building. It was a crisp autumn evening, and the city lights were just beginning to sparkle. Through the large glass window of the main office, a new nameplate shone on the creative director's door. It was my name, Cameron. He was gone, forgotten, a footnote in the industry's history. I heard he tried to get work elsewhere, but my anonymous email had made its rounds. No one wanted to touch him. People say revenge is a dish best served cold. I say, it's best served with flawless timing, irrefutable proof, and impeccable style. This was Arya, signing off from the runway I truly owned. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.